Holy cow, we're now inside of a month until opening day at Wrigley Field. Welcome back. Let's go Cubs. We're ending the second week of spring training. World Baseball Classic starts next week. So I want to get into a few things as we lead up into the World Baseball Classic. Some roster moves for the Cubs, more injuries, and some more things. So let's get right into that. The Cubs made a depth move this week by signing vet outfielder Michael Conforto, to a minor league deal. It's not a major signing in the grand scheme of things, but if Conforto ends up making the team right out of camp, that base salary is going to go up to about $2 million, which would take the Cubs over the luxury tax, if that's something you care about. Those who recall from last season, he had a really rough go at it with the eventual world champions, those Dodgers. He wasn't even on their World Series roster. But the Cubs, they're bringing him in to battle for that last reserve outfield spot. Now, yes, he had a bad season last year, but he is a former All-Star. He's got a good eye, and he can draw a lot of walks. In fact, last season, he had an 11.5% walk rate, which is 31st in baseball, not just the National League, all of baseball. So if he can bounce back and put some balls into play, it could be a savvy pickup for the bench for the Northsiders. And unlike some of the other players that are competing for the last bench spots, Tyler Austin, I'll talk about him in a second, and Chas McCormick, Conforto has a proven track record of being reliable off the bench as a pinch hitter. He's done this before. And he's done it before in big situations during his time with the Mets, during his time with the Giants, during his time with the Dodgers. So let that sink in, because let's say Moises Ballesteros, he ain't ready to take over as a primary DH, or he's struggling while we're in high leverage situations. Or let's say the outfield prospect Kevin Alcantara, he needs more time to develop. He got to go up and down between Wrigley and Iowa. Let's say any of those situations happen. Conforto, he gives the team an experienced vet to rely on, just like Justin Turner last season. So, and also, don't forget, I almost forgot this part. Don't forget that spring training is still going on while the World Baseball Classic is going to be starting next week and, continuing on for the next few weeks after. A bunch of Cub players are going to be leaving camp, 8 to be exact. So they can go over there and play in there with WBC. So the team is going to need extra bodies. They don't need extra outfield bodies in particular. PCA and a bunch of people are going to be gone. Saya. So it's a low risk, high reward type of situation. Maybe he can be better than that 199 batting average he had last season. Maybe not. So there's no real skin off anyone's collective back if he doesn't. Like I said, low risk, high reward. We've all hoping for the high reward set part of that. Elsewhere on the roster this spring training, we got the injury bug pretty bad right now. The Cubs, as I just spoke about, Tyler Austin, they brought Austin in they brought him in over from Japan. He had been in Japan for 6 years. They signed him to a $1.25 million split contract to be a right-handed bench bat and backup first baseman, right? But he just underwent surgery for a right patella tendon debridgement. Man, I'm tired of talking about patella tendon injuries as far as Chicago sports teams. Craig Counsell says he expects him to be out for quote unquote months. To me, I'm not looking to see him anytime before the ivy is fully formed on the walls. Maybe not even after that. So that really shakes up the bench competition. Enter Michael Conforto, as we just spoke about. On the pitching side, lefty Jonathan Wicks. He's been shut down with left forearm inflammation. The good news with that is that the MRI shows that there's no UCL concern. So the team is hoping that he will be only down for a couple of days, not necessarily weeks. And finally, first base prospect Jonathan Long. He also is hurt. He's got a left elbow strain after he was in a collision at first base. The bad news with that injury is that it's not progressing the way the Cubs expected it so far. It's going a lot slower. But and with that, he's been officially ruled out of participating in the WBC. So get well soon, Wicks and Mr. Long. Moving all along, let's go to that second topic. Spring training updates. This is more positive, and I prefer more positive news coming out of Mesa. Let's talk about Shota Imanaga. This is the stuff we need to be hearing about, because he's going to be big this season. As you all know, over the offseason, he was retained by the Cubs on a 1-year, $23 million contract. So this is a big season, not just for the Cubs, not with everything going on with the labor strife, and not just for him too, because this is a 1-year deal. He wants to, I'm assuming, wants to see what his market is and probably get a lot bigger deal come next offseason, whenever that may be. But last season, if you recall, he dealt with a dip in his velocity as it relates to how he was throwing the ball. And a lot of that would stem from his lower leg injuries that he had battled all season. But so far, so good in camp. He's looking dominant. His recent bullpen sessions, they got him clocking in at 93 miles per hour on that four-seamer, 93 to about 95. And which is up from last year, because last year, I think after he came back from the IL, I think he was topping out around 92-ish, if I'm not mistaken. So that's good news. His secondary pitches are also ticking up in velocity. The splitter, the curveball, they're all looking good, and they're all significantly harder than what they were last season. Let's keep that up, because if he can return to the Shota Imanaga that we had known his first 2 seasons with the Cubs as an ace type of producer, the top of the order, right behind Justin Steele, this lineup is going to be nasty. Speaking of which, Cade Horton. Cade is looking like he might actually be the best pitcher on this entire staff. Here, he's been dominant. Everybody's talking about how cool, calm, and collected he's looking on the mound. He's not facing any type of location issues. He's just going out there and getting stuff done. He looks like he's taking that next step. He's looking like he's a 30-start, 20-win type of guy right now. Yes, he's looking like a Cy Young candidate. He was getting some Cy Young talk during his stretch last year, definitely Rookie of the Year talk, because he was definitely in that. But if he can build on what he did last year before injuries, killed his season going into the playoffs, out of that fluke accident that happened in the bullpen section, if he can build off that and build off the momentum he's having right now in Mesa, look out. Again, tie that in to what Shota's showing right now. Man, I can't wait for the season. I cannot wait. He could be a frontline. He could be like I said, he could be a frontline starter, second half of this season. And I don't know what the odds are. If I'm gonna look at the odds right now, see where he's at for Cy Young, because I'm gonna go ahead and put some money into that. Definitely. Coming off the bump and going into the field, top prospect Maga Shaw. He's been actively trying to expand his versatility. Obviously, he's not going to be playing third base much with Alex Bregman over there, and it's a crowded outfield too. I mean, you got Shorter, PCA, and some others, so he's gonna have to get in where he fit in. But as we all know, he's taking one-on-one reps in right field so he can learn that position. It's not as easy as some people think. If you're a Gold Glove ish third baseman like he was last season, he was a Gold Glove finalist. Anybody didn't know. You can't just go back in the right field and expect there not to be any dip. I mean, there is going to be some considerable dip. I mean, the ball, it just spins differently. It spins differently when you're out there in right field versus what you got going on in at third base. It's a lot quicker. Your reflexes are a lot different. So he's been out there learning that position, and that's a good thing because he's a great glove. You want his versatility to be up, and he's a bat that you don't want to take out of the lineup. And from what I understand, the Cubs have no intention of trading him. So getting him comfortable in the outfield is the fastest ticket to getting him some regular big league at bats. Like I said, he's been spending a lot of time getting versatile out there in the outfield. And although you would probably expect to see him more so in the infield this season, but I think there's an opportunity that he might be a platoon type player with him and Moises Ballesteros. So in this scenario, Shaw could play right field against left-handed pitching, which he's pretty good at, and that would allow for Suzuki to take some days off in the field and maybe serve as DH. So a sort of musical chair, so to speak. And I like that. I think that's best serves the team in a functional sense. That, and as I said for years, the fewer amount of days we got to see Seiya in the outfield with the glove, with the game on the line, the better. The better we all are. But back to Shaw. Because he's still learning the outfield, there's been some heated debate over whether or not he should start the year getting everyday reps in AAA, especially after the Cubs signed Conforto. I think the general consensus is that Shaw's bat and infield utility is a little bit too much, a little too important for them to be wasting time down in Iowa. And I agree. He's too valuable. I expect him to be on the opening day roster. I mean, you don't go back to Iowa after having a season the way he did. I'm not saying he's an all-star, but he was a Gold Glove finalist. He was a very important bat down the stretch. You're not going back to Iowa in any stretch of the meaning with that type of output. So they can kill all that chatter. I don't want to hear nothing about the Red Sox potentially being a trade partner for him. Don't care. They can chew on it. They can go on about their business. He's not going anywhere, and I don't have any reason to believe that the Cubs are interested in trading him. All right, so the last thing I wanted to get into, we're going to head out west, and I'm not talking about going down 290 and popping up at MacArthur's or the Circle or anything like that. We're going to the West Coast, to Anaheim specifically. And this isn't nearly Cubs specific, this last segment. Even though last week I did talk about how Tom Ricketts' comments last week about the team being all in, team need to have a win championship or nothing mentality. I want to juxtapose those comments out of what's coming out of Anaheim right now. Artie Moreno, the owner for the Los Angeles Angels, he made headlines this week with a quote that will make a lot of sports fans' heads spin. And not in a good way. I'm talking about Beetlejuice type spin. When he was discussing the team and his fan base, Moreno, literally said, believe it or not, and I'm quoting, believe it or not, winning is not in the top 5. What fans actually want is affordability, safety, and a good experience at the ballpark. My knacker, what? Now, all week, I've been thinking about this. So today, and as we get to Friday, I'm actually going to actually cut him a little bit of slack. He's you don't think an owner is really talking to the average fan on any type of consistent basis. I don't think any owner does. He's probably only dealing with those high level season ticket owners, people with box seats, anything, something like that. And their perspective is probably closer to what he said. To be honest with you, they probably do care about affordability and having a great experience at the ballpark. And whether or not the team wins is probably comes secondary. They're there for the vibes. Not calling them fake fans, but the vibes are probably just as important as the final score. And if that's your prerogative, good for you. And sorry to say that if you're an Angels fan, winning has always been secondary. Now, for me, as the voice of the common sports fan in the universe, this is overly tone deaf. You cannot say no shit like this, bro. Like, this statement coming from the guy who's been running a franchise into the ground since they won the World Series in, I think that was 2006, maybe. I'm not even sure. It's been a minute. No, it wasn't 2006. That was definitely not. They definitely won. It was around that time, sometime in between 04 and 08, somewhere around there. But he completely squandered the historic primes of Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani with the bullshit. He's doing too much of it. They couldn't even make the playoffs with those two players, despite them being some of the greatest players this game has ever seen in their prime. He made the playoffs one time with them and had a cup of coffee before they were sent to the crib. That's terrible. He's probably one of the worst owners ever with that type of track record ever. He really he should have never said this publicly. This would be something that he speaks privately with his owner buddies, and they probably would have agreed with him. It's like, say, yeah, we just want the bag, wins, whatever. Fans go pay whatever, no matter if we win or not. Shout out to the White Sox fans. He should have never said this publicly for anybody like me or anybody that thinks like me to hear it. Especially when you see that they've cut about $70 million off that payroll for this season. Especially we consider that there's been a widespread belief that the Angels have been up for sale for years. He's basically pushing a narrative that the fan experience matters more than a team's record, which includes, and I'm going to say it again, 10 straight losing seasons. Artie might be trying to hit an underlay for the overplay. You know what I'm saying? He might be trying to do something that we're not aware of. He sounds like a doofus, but he might be trying to sell the team in the media. He might be trying to tell somebody with deep pockets that, hey, all you got to do is come buy this squad and paint me as the villain, make this team better, and you will be the Prince of LA, well, Prince of Orange County, rather, because the Dodgers got LA sewn up for the next couple of generations. I think he's trying to make a sale like that. It got to be, because can't no one be that dumb. You come in, make the team better than I've made it, raise the ticket prices, and if you got a good share of the LA market simply by putting a team better on the field that's better than I've been putting on the field, which can't be too hard. Again, 10 straight losing seasons, and that's with Mike Trout. That's with Shohei Ohtani. Instant savior. Got to be. There's got to be another reason for him to have said that, because I can't believe he's that tone deaf. I can't believe it. The interim players union executive director Bruce Meyer immediately called him out on his bullshit. He said that if you've got all the resources that a team in LA, and they're not really in LA, in Orange County, if you got all those resources at your disposal and you still can't put together a successful baseball operation, it's pretty hard to blame anyone but ownership. And he's right. As the former president Harry Truman once said, the buck stops here. Ownership got to take that L. Good thing they're already used to it in Orange County. Thanks for watching. Be back next week with more Holy Cow. Fly the W.
Thanks for listening to this latest episode from the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan Channel. Don't matter if you listen to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or watch it on Twitch or YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, share with a friend, hit the notification bell so you never miss a drop. And to all the guys from Chicago, we say three things. Bear down, go Cubs go, and sell the team, Jerry.